Kcse revision channel, Marita James, World Sports High School. Kindly subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified once I upload a new video. Today we are looking for one work, a very important topic, which is normally set in Kcse, and that one is air and combustion. We wanted to look at rusting. So in this question of rusting, normally there are the diagrams which are being drawn. So you can see the first diagram here where we have the nail, we have the second, so we can have maybe we can label this one as this one it is test tube A. We have this one the P, then we have C. You can label this one as D, E. We have F, and then we have H. So if you look at test tube 1, test tube A, there is an iron nail and this one is opening at the top. So this one, it is testing whether a learner knows the conditions for rusting. And normally, what are the conditions for rusting? The conditions for rusting are only air and moisture. So those are the conditions for rusting. So in our first case here, you were supposed even to explain what is happening in each test tube, maybe after 3 days or after 7 days. So if you can explain what is happening in each test tube after some days, you can look at test tube A, which is not at we have the test tube A, where we have an iron nail and this one is not cocked at the top. That means the conditions for rusting are present. So if you have explained what takes place in each test tube, in A, rusting took place. And why rusting took place in test tube A, it is because the conditions for rusting are present. The conditions for rusting are normally air and moisture. So they are present here. So after 3 days or 7 days, the iron nail will just rust. When you come to test tube P, we have an iron nail, and this one we have anhydrous calcium chloride. So in this case here, a learner should explain well the purpose of this anhydrous calcium chloride. Somebody will not say that rusting did not take place here because the conditions for rusting are absent. That one is wrong. You need to understand the purpose of anhydrous calcium chloride. The purpose of anhydrous calcium chloride, anhydrous calcium chloride is one of the reactants which is used for drying of gases, to dry some gases. And therefore here, in this case, when we have anhydrous calcium chloride, we know the conditions for rusting, it is just air and moisture. So the anhydrous calcium chloride, it removes the moisture, a condition required for rusting. That means now in this case here, there will be no rusting that will take place. No rusting in this test tube P because the moisture, the anhydrous calcium chloride removes the moisture, a condition required for rusting. Very, very important to note that the purpose of this anhydrous calcium chloride in this experiment. So don't say that rusting did not take place because air and moisture are absent. That one is wrong. You are supposed to state specifically the purpose of this anhydrous calcium chloride, which removes the moisture, a condition required for rusting, and that is why rusting did not take place in the test tube P. When you look at C, we have nail, and this nail it is inside this is water. So we can have this one has entered the tap water. What we have in tap water or water, just water, there is a dissolved air in water. And you know that when there is a dissolved air in water, so rusting will take place here, but it will take place slowly. So in this case here, rusting took place. And the reason why you can say that the rusting took place, it is because there is a dissolved air in water. Because we have air and moisture, those are the conditions for rusting. Then here, and in this test tube E, we have the zinc, then we have aluminum foil, and then we have the magnesium. So what is this diagram on this side testing? It is testing the methods of preventing rusting. We have oiling and greasing, we have electroplating, we have galvanizing, we have alloying. So in this case here, we have some metals which can prevent an iron metal from rusting. So we have lots of zinc metal, aluminum metal, or magnesium metal, where an iron metal coated with either zinc or aluminum or magnesium, there will be no rusting. Why no rusting? Because either zinc metal or the aluminum foil or the magnesium, they provide the sacrificial protection. So the methods of this of preventing rusting is normally called electroplating, whereby these methods provide the sacrificial protection. So in this case here, there will be no rusting. The reason is zinc or aluminum or magnesium, any of them, they provide a sacrificial protection. That means now rusting will not take place. Now we can also have here test tube F, where we have a boiled water, and then we have a layer of oil on the boiled water. Boiling water drives out air, a condition is required for rusting. Covering the boiled water with a layer of oil prevents re-entry of that oxygen. That means now there is no moisture, there is no oxygen, and there is no moisture. That means there will be no rusting. So in this case here, you are supposed to explain well or to state well, why do we have the boiled water? Boiled water drives out the air, a condition is required for rusting. Covering this one with a layer of oil, a layer of oil prevents the entry of air. That means now no rusting will take place in this test tube F. So we have here that in this test tube H, we have the nail which is wrapped with copper foil or thin metal. What is happening here in this case? The question is also testing for electroplating, whether the metals will prevent an iron metal from rusting. When we have aluminum, zinc, and magnesium, when they provide sacrificial protection, there will be no rusting that will take place. In this case here, where we have copper and tin, rusting took place. Why? Because copper foil or tin does not prevent iron from rusting. In other words, now they do not provide the sacrificial protection, and that means now rusting will just take place there. So in test tube A here, there will be rusting will take place. In test tube P here, there is no rusting because of anhydrous calcium chloride removes the moisture, condition required for rusting. Here, there will be rusting took place because there is a dissolved air in water. We have, I have skipped this one. We have this test tube where we have a salt water. In a salt water, there are some conditions that makes there are some conditions that makes rusting to take place more intense. And what are those conditions that accelerate rusting? One, you can talk of a high temperature condition, acidic condition, and the salty condition. So where we have those conditions, rusting normally took place more intense. So in this D, we have a salt water. Where there is a salt water, the rusting will take place more intense because rusting, the salt accelerates rusting. So here there will be rusting. Here there will be no rusting, so no rusting here because aluminum, magnesium, and the zinc provide the sacrificial protection. A layer of oil poured water that drives out the air. A layer of oil covers, prevents the entry of that one. So in this case here, there will be no rusting. Copper foil or tin does not provide the sacrificial protection, and that means now there will be rusting in that case. So that is a summary of the diagram. In most cases, that is how summarized the diagrams that can be tested from rusting. You can also be asked to give the conditions for rusting. What are the conditions for rusting? Conditions for rusting: one, we have air and moisture. So these are the conditions for rusting. Conditions for rusting: we have air and moisture. We have also those conditions that makes rusting to take place more intense. What are those conditions that makes rusting to take place more intense? We have the acidic condition. We have acidic condition, high temperature condition, and then we have the salt conditions. And that explains why vehicles in Mombasa can rust faster than vehicles in Nairobi. So the conditions that accelerates rusting or makes rusting to take place more intense, we have the acidic condition, a high temperature condition, and then we have the acidic conditions. What is the formula for rust? The formula for rust is just this one here. This is the formula for rust. If you will be asked to give the formula for rust, that is it. This is the formula for rusting. The chemical name for rust. So the chemical name for rust, avoid that statement that is a formation of a brown substance. So the correct chemical name for rust is just hydrated iron 3 oxide, where the iron metal combines with oxygen, combines with water vapor or moisture, then they will form this oxide of iron 3, hydrated iron 3 oxide. Hydrated means that it is a substance that contains some moisture or contains some water. So that is the correct chemical name for rust, and this one is the formula for rusting. Now, why do we electroplate an iron spoon? So, sometimes you will be required to give the reasons for electroplating the iron spoon. Reasons for electroplating an iron spoon, it is to improve the appearance of the spoon. So, improve the appearance of the spoon, and then in this case, you can talk about preventing the spoon from rusting. So, we talk of improving the appearance of the spoon, and then prevent the spoon from rusting. How aluminium paint prevents rusting? So the aluminium paint prevents rusting whereby it keeps out water and oxygen. That is how aluminium paint prevents rusting. Now, sometimes you will also require to know the methods of preventing rusting. Methods of preventing rusting: we have oiling and greasing. You can have alloying. You can have galvanizing, or you can also have the sacrificial protection. Now, this one I've said that why vehicles in Mombasa rust faster than vehicles in Nairobi. Vehicles in Mombasa can rust faster than vehicles in Nairobi because in Mombasa there is a high temperature condition, there is a salty condition, and of course the acidic condition from the Indian Ocean, and that is why the vehicles in Mombasa can rust faster than the vehicles in Nairobi. Now, we have some temperate countries whereby a salt can be sprayed on the roads to reduce snow. Now, in this case, for those people doing geography, you understand what is snow. When the salt is normally sprayed on the roads to reduce the snow, the long-term effect of this one here, it normally causes rusting on these vehicles. So the effect it has on the motorist, it can cause rusting, more especially on those parts of the vehicle, which made us of the iron material. So salts are sprayed on roads to defrost and clear ice in the temperate countries. So the long-term effect is that the salt accelerates rusting, and once it accelerates rusting, so it causes corrosion and the destruction of machineries. Now, how a salt and acidic causes rusting? A very important question also. How is salts and acidic causes rusting? In this case, it increases the conductivity of moisture. It increases the conductivity of moisture around the metal, making rusting to happen very quickly, or making rusting to happen more quickly. So, if you require to explain how the salt and acid causes rusting, it normally increases the conductivity around the metals, which causes rusting to occur very fast. Now, How is the acidic condition causes rusting? In this acidic condition, what you need to understand that the acid can break down the oxide layer of that metal. So the acid it breaks down the oxide layer of that metal that forms the surface of the metal, exposing the metal to oxygen and water, hence accelerating the rusting process. So if you are required to explain how rusting how the acidic process rusting, it just breaks down the layer that forms the surface of the metal, and then it exposes to oxygen. Once it exposes to oxygen and the water, that is now rusting to take place. Now, what are the advantages of rusting? One of the advantages of rusting, it adds nutrient to the soil. Simply you have to say, rusting adds nutrient to the soil, and also it controls pollution of the solid waste from the environment. Disadvantages of rusting. Disadvantages of rusting, you can say that rusting can cause corrosion of the iron sheets. It can also destroy the machinery of the iron materials. So this is a very good summary of the questions that can be set from rusting. Kindly follow my channel. You click the notification bell to get notified once I upload a new video. Thank you.